Hello and welcome to the Uplifting conversations that set your heart on fire. My name is Neil Thrussell. I am the co-host of the Uplifting Conversation show with my wonderful co-host Sarah Wade, and I am an author, life coach, passionate lover of life, and a married man for the last 35 and a half years. And I'm really excited to share with you Sarah. And we have a delay today, so Sarah will be here.
Everybody. Yeah, we've got fun with technology with a few breaks back and forth. So guys, if you're watching and there's an interruption, please I'm sure you understand. So my name is Sarah Wade and I'm coming to you from Perth, Western Australia. Before, I'm a bit fun, I'm a bit silly, I'm into art, I love nature, and I use this with the people I work with. So women come to me who are going through, who want to make positive changes in their lives. It's also about having these positive changes. Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm so delighted to be here with you, Neil and Sarah. I'm Lisa Manyon, and I'm known as the Business Marketing Architect. I'm the president of Right On Creative. And I guess my claim to fame, well, there's a lot of them, but I think the most important piece is that I have a different spin on marketing. I teach people how to create marketing messages with integrity, with a values-based challenge, solution, and invitation communication framework where we focus on passion points instead of pain points.
And well, that's only her business part is only one of the tiny reasons why I love Lisa. But one of the things that I've discovered about Lisa is she walks her talk. And when I follow her on Facebook, she believes in getting out into nature and spending quality time and recharging her batteries. And I'm going, how do you get any work done, Lisa?
Is that an actual question? No.
And it comes down to the simple fact that Lisa has created her business around allowing herself time to get out into the great outdoors.
That's absolutely true. I mean, nature is such a gift for all of us. And, you know, on a personal note, I'm also a cancer thriver. So one of my healing mechanisms was not only healing with love, but getting into nature and breathing fresh air and really tapping into the beauty that we have been gifted on this planet that too many people take for granted.
And we're giving Sarah a pause.
Nice. I'm a huge nature myself, and I personally think that getting out into nature allows me to do more work, allows me to, you know, really be focused and present with what I'm doing. Do you find the same, Lisa?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what so many people say, gosh, you're always out walking in Lithia Park or going for a hike here or there or driving, as Neil pointed out. And, you know, it's because I've designed a lifestyle business to support how I want to support the way I live. And yes, being in nature absolutely clears the headspace. We have to unplug, although I am guilty of taking my phone with me because I love snapping pictures of nature and sharing it with everyone else who can't be out there. So you'll find me doing that too. But yeah, it clears the headspace so that we can be far more productive.
And that's a beautiful part of it, because I love that you constructed your business to include this. But it's also part of setting up your goals is if you're teaching people to look in the positive parts, why would you not include time away from the office as much as you love helping people and love supporting people, but to include time as part of your purpose-driven business plan? So you mentioned it briefly, Lisa, at the beginning, that you do things a little different than than normal. Most marketing people want you to focus on the pain point, and your focus, what I love, is on the passion or the pleasure points. Could you explain and share a little more about that with our viewers?
Absolutely. So, yeah, the standard traditional formula for crafting marketing messages has always been the problem, agitate, and solve. And I'm not disputing that you need to know what a problem is to solve it. That's absolutely true. But the piece of that caused a huge disconnect for me is the agitate piece. Why would we agitate people's pain points? I mean, we're taught to draw people into their pain and really amplify those. And that's kind of actually psychological manipulation when you just get right down to it. And so many people will teach that, oh no, you've got to use the pain points, and you've got to bring people into the depths of their despair so you can bring them out, and then you can be the one to bring them to passion or pleasure. I'm like, or let's just bypass that. Let's just use the challenge, solution, and invitation framework, which is based on values and building relationships, because that's what marketing and sales are all about, and just meet people where they are with empathy and understanding. We are all in enough pain. We are smart humans and individuals. We know where we are and we know where we want to be. So when you start using the challenge, solution, and invitation framework, you just meet people where they are with empathy and understanding. So for the challenge piece, you need to know it. Absolutely, you need to know where people are, but your job is to offer the solution in the next step by painting a picture of possibility with those passion points and showing people where they're going to be once they play with you, and doing such a good job in the solution piece that you're sharing the results that you've achieved for others, and you're giving examples with case studies or antidotes or stories. So by the time people have experienced what you have to offer in the solution piece and they've seen the passion points, you've painted that picture of possibility, you don't even have to overcome objections. It's just time to say, hey, want to play? And that's the invitation piece, often known as the call to action. And it's so simple because all you have to do is do it.
And to me, that route feels more, to me personally, more like a drawing towards me as opposed to pushing me towards the end result.
Absolutely. It's attraction marketing, right? It's magnifying and magnetizing your message in a beautiful way, and then magnetizing your ideal clients to you because they resonate on such a deep level. And this all happens because I always encourage everyone to make sure that they are infusing their values into everything they do, because your values equal value.
Values? And Sarah's making faces like she wants to say something.
I'm making faces like I absolutely agree. Yeah. The beautiful understanding of pushing people, pulling people or pushing people, why not let them choose what they want to do? Yeah. Like, I prefer passion over pain. I'm curious what our audience would prefer. And I'm also curious, Lisa, what helped you to transcend? What was that moment that you thought, I'm going to stay away from this pain, it's just not resonating with me and my values? And how did you actually move into that pleasure point, that beautiful attraction marketing that you were talking about?
Well, that's such a great question. Well, at first I didn't. I was observing everyone else doing it the other way, and I was really quiet about it because I was kind of the new kid on the block. I mean, we're talking decades ago, so it was a while ago. And I was watching everyone use these other techniques, and I'm like, what? This doesn't feel right. But I had that part of me that was like, but who am I to question the gurus, right? And finally, what happened is people were just naturally coming to me because they knew that I was doing things differently. And they would share with me, well, Lisa, you're clearly doing things differently, and we don't know what to do because we spent all this money with these marketing experts and copywriters, and we've got all of our pain points mapped out, but people aren't buying. And so we'd review their content, whether it was on a website or a brochure or whatever marketing material it might be. And I'd say, well, that's very interesting. Let me ask you something. What framework or what formula are you using? And typically it was the problem, agitate, and solve. And I would say, well, when you look at your own copy, is this how you would want someone to talk to you if you were inviting them to do business with you or inviting them to play? And they'd stop and say, oh my gosh, no, I guess not. And that's when I said, okay, let's roll it back. Let's dive back into our values. Let's talk to our audience as if they're friends, as if they're people we really want to play with and do business with and build those relationships. And that shift really changed things. And so to get to your point, I just kind of did it, Sarah, very naturally and organically and intuitively for a very, very long time, until I was invited to be featured on the cover of Aspire magazine. And the publisher of that magazine, Linda Joy, said, Lisa, I need you to tell us exactly what you're doing. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's interesting, because I just do this intuitively. And so at that point, I had to sit down and really think about it. And that's when I named my framework. And I share this because it's so important to name it and claim it, because I could continue to do my magic intuitively forever, but without that framework and being able to put a name to it, other people couldn't really apply it themselves, right? And I want other people to be empowered to apply this themselves, because I certainly cannot write everyone's content or help everyone with their strategy. I can teach it and I can inspire people to do it, but you know, I only have so much of me to go around.
Well, it's easy. We just need you cloned.
Thank you.
I know, but that's so creepy. I've thought about it. I mean, I could use multiple assistants that can work as fast as I do, but I just don't know that that's going to happen.
True. And I think as many coaches and spiritual people are moving forward in their marketing and the messaging, the pain marketing isn't for them, because as soon as you get into a dialogue with them, we're talking about inviting and helping people, and we're not using pain words. Like the hair on the back of my neck gets up when a speaker goes in. We just have to crush that goal or kill that thing, and I'm like, oh, do we? And to me, I personally am lost at that point in time.
It causes a deep energetic disconnect. And there's even some really powerful spiritual leaders that are teaching this methodology to others, and it can work. That's the rub, right? The pain points can work, but what it causes for most people, you know, like you, Neil, like you, Sarah, like me, is we're so intuitively tapped in to the energy of things that we know that from a foundational standpoint, it just really isn't the right way to do business, that we can do it a different way. We can pave the way for others to flip their script and focus on passion points and leave that manipulation behind, because it's past time for it to disappear. I mean, it's not necessary. You can get just as effective, if not more effective results by focusing on those passion points and by doing business in that values aligned way.
Absolutely. I'm waiting to give Sarah a chance here.
So I'm hearing values come up significantly as you're talking, and I think, you know, we all agree that, you know, our values will reflect our beliefs and our standards of those that you work with raise when you've split this switch.
Absolutely. You know, and this is the thing. It's like everything is energy. We know this. So when you're focusing on passion points, it raises that vibration. When you flip the script and you're focusing on passion instead of pain, you're also attracting a higher caliber of clients. And you're attracting people who are aligned in their values, so that we can all do our part in whatever our magic is, because we all have a contribution to the world, but we can all do our part to start heal those broken threads of humanity. And the interesting thing about the passion or the pain point marketing is that people have been psychologically brainwashed to think that it's okay. I mean, I've sat in so many meetings where the first question is, well, what is the pain point of your ideal clients, and how are we going to get in there, and using that really aggressive language, and right there they lose me. And I think they're just using it as a, you know, common thing, and it's not. It's autopilot. It's programmed. It's, you know, not really from the heart. And so when people step back and really start claiming their own voice and not following the masses blindly. And it took me a while. I'm not trying to be critical as I share that. I was learning from the best of the best who taught this. And I thought, oh my gosh, I love these people. They're doing good work, but this piece of it is just not aligned with who I am or where I want to go or who I want to be in the world or what I want to teach. So it gave me a real opportunity to illuminate a different way.
For me, I've got these images of puzzles in my head. You puzzle together and play someone else's jigsaw puzzle to fit your own, and they're the wrong colors, the wrong shapes, the wrong sizes, and it just doesn't fit, and we feel a bit icky about it. And that's where I felt that ickiness, and I thought, no, I've got to create something different, and I, like you, Lisa, go towards that pleasure over the pain. I'm curious, Neil, if you've noticed anything like that in your life.
I'm a basic hedonist at heart. I'm always moving towards pleasure as opposed to pain. There's lots of things that in the perfect world, I'm just a jumble of thoughts right now. I'm like I've lost complete focus because I just all of a sudden thought, and I'm going to share with you, I'm going skiing tomorrow. And it's like, to me, I'm just lost all focus when I thought of that I was going to be outdoors and not working tomorrow. I'm going to be completely transparent and honest, like, poof, thought gone.
Well, that's good. You're focusing on those passion points and the pleasure, and that's fantastic. And it's so interesting. What I find with many of the, especially mission-driven, heart-based light workers and healers, people that I work with, and they're not all light workers and healers, but I have this magic where I can help bridge the gap between spirituality and marketing, especially when they hear the challenge, solution, invitation framework and the passion points, because I've actually had people tell me that just spending 20 minutes with me and hearing that they don't have to poke at pain points and that they can do things on their own terms has removed energetic blocks that have just kept them stuck for decades and not being able to really claim their voice and own their magic and do what they were meant to be. So that excites me. That gets me really fired up, because if I can help do that so more people can step into their full power and their magic and do things aligned with their values and their truth, I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, what else is there?
Absolutely. Because when our marketing matches the way we speak, because sometimes it doesn't, when we're dealing with pain points, sometimes it doesn't, when our values and our marketing and all match and they're the same, doesn't matter whether you're on stage or off stage, life is just easy.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And one of the biggest disconnects that I have found when I'm helping people with their messaging and their strategy to get everything dialed in is that the biggest disconnect is a misalignment between their personal values and their business values. And sometimes people feel like those have to be separate. And I'm a firm believer that business is personal. And so if there's a disconnect, it's because people have been coached or taught to do something in their business that is not aligned with who they really are. They're doing it because they think it will make them money and they don't feel good about it. And so they're not really achieving the success that they could. I'm not saying that they're not achieving a specific level of success, because you can still get results. But when you get everything magically aligned, those values are aligned, and you're really using frameworks that work, it's so important. It's kind of the missing piece. Sarah was talking about puzzle pieces and trying to, fit pieces that don't belong in. And that's what happens when we simply follow a formula or a framework that doesn't feel aligned to us, and we don't stop to basically question everything and break the trance and challenge the status quo and engage critical thinking.
Absolutely. I'm waiting for Sarah, giving Sarah an opportunity to jump in.
Well, thank you, Neil. Yeah, look, Nikki's just popped on and said playfulness is definitely important and fun. And I 100% agree. If we don't include play in our lives, our ability to actually problem solve and to think clearer, and why not go out and remember as a kid you used to maybe jump in puddles or on leaves to hear that crackling sound. Why not do this as an adult? You know, we can incorporate play in so many ways, be it inside or outside. So go have fun, do it. Bring joy and spark into your life.
This is me speculating. I think one of the next greatest inventions or workshops that's going to occur is called adult camps. Bring their youth. Like we all used to go to the summer camps, adult summer camps will be coming back in to help deal with all of those people that have been so serious all of their life and they need to learn to play and they just don't know how. So they'll go to the adult play camps.
I think we need that more now than ever. You know, as things open up, there definitely needs to be more play. I think everyone is ready for that. And I also believe that when your values are fully aligned, that your work can be play. I mean, I call it play. Usually, you know, I'm like, when I talk to a client, hey, let's play, or a potential client, and they're like, play? I'm like, yeah, we'll get work done, but we're going to have fun doing it.
Absolutely.
You're talking to art therapist. That is literally all I do. Is I ask people to play in the most amazing ways, whether it be with foil or paints or sand or toys. You know, it's a really cool way of getting things that are in your mind out and expressing yourselves and really understanding internally in an external world. Seriously, do you find when you're playing with your client that you have a similar interaction with this play?
Well, in a sense, but it's really more with words, right, and strategy. So I'm the person who can put all the puzzle pieces together and make things make sense for people. So it relieves stress and anxiety for my clients. And they're like, oh, this isn't as hard as I thought it was. I'm like, absolutely, it isn't. So, you know, in that context, it's playing in a different way, but I do love what you're doing, Sarah, and I want to dig in and learn more about that because I personally love playing with paints and doing different things like that and sparking my creativity, because that also is something that gives your brain a boost to be far more productive and to come up with even more creative ideas.
100%, yeah. And on that note, I actually just created a journal to help people to do that. So most journals are, you know, filled with blank lines where you just fill it in. Maybe you've got a couple of questions as prompt. Mine asks you to spend the first 5 minutes just playing with color, and it allows you to sort of get into this meditative trance and really think about how you're going. And it's this beautiful thing to be able to watch as people look back on their days. Oh, actually, now I can understand why this has happened, or hey, I've noticed a pattern here, or whatever's going on for them. Why not do something different? You know, design the life that you desire, because, you know, when we are following that herd and following the crowd, we're literally doing like Lisa's talked about, you know, following that herd. Everyone's all about pain. Why not? I prefer pleasure. I prefer passion. Let's go there. Let's get to that end goal faster. Yeah, beautiful.
About 6 years ago, my wife and I were leading a workshop, and we're out in nature. Everyone in the group is sleeping in teepees, and we're doing community meals. But we had just come through some really, really serious personal growth work. And we're walking along in the river, and I come up to some mud. And one of the ladies was very particular that she needed to be clean. I flicked some mud at her. Needless to say, there was a great deal of mud flinging going on, and it was so beautiful to hear this childish and childlike giggle come from her. And it was like right from her soul. Like everyone ganged up on me. It was me against everyone else because I they needed someone, and I didn't mind, but I did mind the freezing cold water because they would not let me go shower as punishment in the warm shower. I had to bathe in the river, but it was so worth it.
Sometimes people do need a little push to start playing.
And yeah, it was beautiful. So when you're helping people, what are some of, let's just talk words, because words can transcend everything. What are some of the words that you like to use? Positive words. Like I just naturally use like awesome, heartfelt, passionate, and I like to use the word I love you. What are some of the words that you love? I like to use.
You know, it's all very, very different and unique to each of my clients, right? Because I like to infuse whatever their values are into what they're doing. And one of the things that I do with when I'm playing with clients is I tap in energetically to not only their energy, but the soul of their business to help them really capture their voice. And I always have them think about word choices and also think about the stories that they're telling, because we're all shaped by different worldviews. And sometimes people will use an example that not everyone can relate to. And so I have to bring people back into thinking about not only do we want to share what's on our heart and infuse our values and bring all of our energy to the forefront in our marketing messages, we also want to make sure that it's really resonating deeply with the people that we're meant to serve, right? I mean, earlier you mentioned a few of the words like really crushing it and the real push marketing, and a lot of people call that kind of bro marketing, and it's fascinating to me. So words that I like to use are anything that's positive. Of course, passion points, big favorite of mine. Integrity, very big. The other thing is whatever words you choose to use, make sure they're really energetically aligned with you and who you are. Because if you're not walking your talk and you just decide to start throwing in some words that you think are going to get results, it won't work. For example, I once had a gentleman who was selling some type of widget, and he wanted me to sprinkle some spirituality into his content to help him sell things. I'm like, no, your business is not spiritual. This is not how it works. You can't just sprinkle some spiritual words in your content and suddenly attract that crowd. It's not in alignment. So it cracks me up because people, even when they're not fully aligned, see that there's power in what's happening, but they've not quite owned their own truth enough yet to find their words and their value to move forward, or maybe to even shift what they're doing in business if it isn't that aligned. Like if you're selling a widget that isn't spiritual, but you want to be playing with spiritual people, then maybe do something different.
Yes.
Love that. It took me a while to figure out what a widget is, actually, to be fair. I'm not on that same level. So if someone came with the widget idea, I'd be like, what are you talking about? And then they throw in spirituality messaging, and it just completely lose me then because, as you say, they're just not aligning. Yeah.
Exactly.
So of your, it's just crazy. So what history got you to change? Like, you spoke about it being a longer process. Was there a specific moment in time that made you realize, actually, no, this isn't aligning with me? Or was it that slow progression, that upgrade of values over a slower time?
Well, I knew when I was hearing it that it wasn't working. I was feeling it. I was feeling it in my bones that it wasn't working. But it did take a few years for me to realize, like, okay, because I think we've all been sucked into it, right? It's what we were taught to do to begin with. And I attempted it and it did not work. It didn't work for the people I was trying to write for. It didn't work for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not aligned with my values if I'm doing something that doesn't feel right. So I had to step back and really take a look at that. And again, that was many, many, many years ago. But when it really took off, I knew and was intuitively doing it. But when it really took off is when I named that framework in the Aspire magazine article. And what I think is really magical about this, and I think this is important for listeners to hear, is that when you name it and claim it, it not only gives people a framework to understand exactly what it is that you're doing, your process, your program, whatever it might be, but it also gives them the opportunity. Well, it doesn't even give them the opportunity. It gives your idea, your methodology, a life of its own. It just takes on energy of its own, because once I named it and was featured in Aspire magazine, that's when a lot of the other media opportunities started rolling. And I was interviewed in Inc. magazine and, multiple other places and multiple magazine covers and podcasts and all over the place. And it was really kind of mind blowing to me, because I'd been doing it intuitively all along without having named it. And then I'm like, wow. And being the wordsmith that I was, seeing how powerful actually naming your own process was pretty magical.
So a little tongue in cheek here. So did the little girl Lisa, ever dream of that she was going to be on the cover of magazines?
Not that I was going to be on the cover of magazines, but that I was going to be a published writer for sure. I remember, so I grew up in a super rural area and we had a bookmobile. So it was this big, mobile library that would drive out to us. And I would spend tons of time checking out books. And I still have a book that I mocked up as a project in grade school that I can't even remember the name of it, but it's got a little award on the front of it. So back even then, I wanted to be an award-winning writer.
Sweet.
And now you are.
Exactly. I'm like, look at that.
Made it happen. That's fantastic. Yeah. Is there anything else that you're looking to make happen for yourself or for your clients in this year?
Well, I am working on my book, so I'm excited about that. I'm also going to be in yet another anthology, which I'm excited about. This is going to be more of a personal storytelling. It's a book called Life Reimagined that will be coming out later this year. And I'll be sharing more about my healing with love journey in that story. So it won't be, well, it'll still be full of passion, but it won't be about the passion point marketing. It will be more about my personal journey of healing with love.
Well, and later in the fall?
Sometime after July. I have to look at all the details. I just know that I need to get writing and get that done. I'll keep you posted, though. I'll definitely keep you posted on that.
That would be wonderful. And it's amazing. So that I was facetious, and yet I wasn't when I asked if the little girl wanted to pose it, be in the cover of the magazine. So many times, our what we're unhappy about is subconsciously it's because we're not living enough of our dreams from our youth and our childhood. It's like I'm doing a workshop called A Life on Fire right now, and I've got people on three different continents in this program, and it's all about rediscovering what you were passionate about. And one of the homework assignments was just to give me 200. And when I gave the number, it was beautiful to see all these looks on people's faces. 200 things that you love. And you'd have thought I'd asked them to give me 2 million things, but it was 200. And I think everyone but one person had more than 200 things, because once they got into it, it was like they just wanted to go. Because it was an opportunity to experience love and stay in that energy.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's interesting because what you did was you sparked them into the present moment and really looking at many things that we take for granted and have on autopilot, because so many people will take it for granted, a cup of tea, and I love mine and enjoy it every day and I'm super grateful for it. But people don't always take time to acknowledge the gifts that are right in front of us, right?
Absolutely. Sarah, we can see Sarah was laughing. What does Sarah want to share with us?
I love this delay. It's like your mind reading. Yeah, I was curious on that list, Neil. Did you find many people put themselves in there? And if they did, what order do you get to go, actually, I do love me? I love these things about me.
Yes, they did, but it was 80% didn't include it. But when we went in group to discuss the homework afterwards, then we just lost a lot of, we used a beautiful amount of time to discuss what each person loved about themselves. And it was physical things, emotional things, spiritual things. And one person said that I love that the ability, that I love the fact that I can love myself. I love this awkward silence.
Well, I knew Sarah was getting ready to say something, so I was waiting for the delay to come through. So I want to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, well, on that, it was interesting, that delay and then that beautiful share moment. I was in a mastermind and we were asked to thank ourselves. The reward ceremonies, you thank this person, you might thank that person. And it was a really lovely thing to see people thanking themselves and to tap into what brings them pleasure about what they do. It was so lovely. So I see James has written here, we are unhappy because most people do not know that they come first in their own lives. Most empaths try to help others first and forget themselves. I'm curious, do you find that?
Yeah, Sarah, I do find that to be very true, actually. I've seen that so many times, even with myself, when I went through my own healing journey, that's when I realized, wow, facing mortality is not for the faint of heart. Like, this is it. We got to figure out how to heal with love and put myself first, because I'm very good at giving to others. I'm now learning to perfect the art of receiving.
That's it. That's a beautiful lesson too. Because who do the givers give to if there's no one to receive it? Yeah, and it becomes, there is an art that most people have to learn in the graciously receiving.
Yeah, I would say that's true. I know a lot of people who give a lot of themselves but struggle to take that, the receipt of help. And it's this beautiful journey between self and others as we move forward with our values and with our beliefs. It's a real thing of beauty to see people as they transverse this self-others sort of really find themselves become happier and happier. Yeah.
I know I am of the age category where it was taught to me it is better to give than it is to receive. And it's just like, well, if I'm giving, who am I giving to if no one is able to receive it?
What the conundrum. Yeah. So if our audience know, what is something that they would like to give, or perhaps what is something they would like to receive this week? It could be something that you're doing for yourself, or it could be something that you're doing for others. But I think a lot of us find if we don't actually schedule things like me time and a range of other things, if we don't schedule to give or to receive, then we miss out. So simple little things like, a message to someone, or a flower, or hey, let's go out and walk in nature. There's so many ways that we can give and receive to one another. Have you got any good ways that you can share how to give and receive?
Well, certainly. I mean, Neil touched on this, and I've created a lifestyle business to support myself. So when I start feeling out of balance, like I'm scheduling far too much work, then I definitely schedule playtime, or I schedule massages. And honestly, scheduling massage is both it's both giving and receiving, because you're supporting the person who's doing that for you, helping them, earn their living in a beautiful way that's a healing modality. So that's definitely one of the ways. And there's so many ways that we can give, by volunteering with various organizations, or even just donating to causes that we're very passionate about.
I'm going to put up James's thing here, because this brings an interesting thing to it as well.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, he's saying, I was in the era too. Giving is better in one case, but you can't give if you don't have. Yes, that's it. I often say, you can't give from an empty cup. So you've got to fill yourself up first. And then many people will think that they don't have anything to give, but we each have our own magical gifts that we were born with. And sometimes giving is just as simple as listening to a friend.
Absolutely. It's one of the most precious, to me, one of the most precious gifts we can give someone is our time.
Yeah, you don't get that back.
Like a 5-second, even a 10-second phone call. Hi, I just thought I'd say hello and I love you. Even if you get the answering machine. Hey, I was just checking in. I just wanted to say hi. Done.
And we never really know what a positive impact we can have on people, because so many people are struggling with their own situations and not sharing. And so being a true friend or a colleague, or even an acquaintance, and taking that next step to create a deeper friendship is so powerful.
It's a real thing of beauty to be able to give and take, and especially when you give and don't expect anything, and people want to give to you. I've personally found, because you've given of yourself, you've given of that time, you've given of your ear, you've given of that shoulder, or whatever, things that don't even have to cost money. They're even, this beautiful energy comes back at you. Don't you find?
It's really interesting. I actually was on a call earlier today with some really interesting gentlemen that are starting a business, and they want to do a bunch of online sales. And it wasn't really my expertise, because they want to do, some Facebook ads and some other things on a really large scale. And that's just not my wheelhouse. But I took time to have a conversation with them, and I actually made a warm intro, told them I'd introduce them to someone that I know that does that, and gave them some other local resources. And it was really cool, because I said, well, what can we do for you? And I thought, gosh, and they're like, can we send you a gift certificate? I said, well, that's really not necessary. I'm just, connecting the dots and helping out. And they said, no, we want your address. We want to send you something. And I said, okay, wonderful. Thank you. So that was me learning to receive. So, you never know when you extend an olive branch or an act of kindness to someone, what's going to come back to you. It's really kind of a cool exchange.
Absolutely. What I love about these talks at the uplifting conversations is we have no script. We have an idea of the guests, of the heart-based guests that we want, and then we sometimes talk in the green room behind the scenes, and we have a little bit of a chin wag, a chitty chat, but there's no planning. And I love how organic, and it's just conversations, and the depth of all the things that come out is just like, I'm just absolutely honored and feel truly blessed to have Sarah as my co-host, have Lisa to show up. And this is, I think, I think my second or third time with Lisa. I don't know, and every time is different, and every time is just beautiful. So thank you both for being part of my journey. And yeah, I'm just like, ah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to play, and it's great to, have these deep conversations that may inspire something for someone else. And that's really what it's all about. That's another way that we're giving back, right? If there's a way that someone just takes one small nugget and makes a shift that impacts their life in a positive way, then it makes my day.
Yes.
It's like a beautiful wave of giving and to ourselves to receive. It's so wonderful. That little nugget, that little piece of sand on the beach, these new waves come and crash in. This little grain of sand can be transformed into anything. As humans, we can create and we can turn it into a sandcastle. Or you see little kids making little mermaid legs, tails. It's this where we can go with little things is just beautiful, and having no intention behind is a lovely way to explore as well. Yeah. So I know that I'm going to explore a bit of nature today. What are you going to be doing? Are you going to be getting out into nature, Lisa, or are you stuck in an office?
Well, it's evening here, so I'm probably not going to be getting out into nature. And Mother Nature has been a little bit confused lately. It was beautiful yesterday, the day before, and then it was overcast yesterday, and then it snowed last night. So I'm not sure what's happening, but I will be getting out tomorrow and definitely going for a walk. And the other thing that I like to do as well is I like to go to exercise classes, and those are starting to open up here again. So yay! That's really an important thing for health and clearing the mind as well.
And for me, it is almost 8:30, so I'm finishing packing to go skiing tomorrow, which got me so flustered in that because I was like, yeah. And I actually am going with one of my friends who's got the most interesting mind in spirituality. He's like a David Hawkins. He can take the most complicated spiritual concept and just put it into about 7 words, and you're like, yeah, how did you do that? And so we're going skiing tomorrow, and it's always, my mind is just expands whenever I'm in whole conversations with him. And he is one of the most, and at the same time, he is one of the most crass, opinionated, least spiritual persons in the entire world, because his journey is he understands spirituality, but he hasn't embraced it. It's like, yeah, it's all that woo-woo crap, but he totally gets it.
Quite the juxtaposition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's so good to have friends that have diverse thoughts and ideas and backgrounds and all of that. I have such an eclectic collection of fabulous people that make up the tapestry of all my friendships. And I just am so appreciative of each person's uniqueness.
Absolutely. So,
I love that.
As we wind up here, so the best way to get a hold of you, Lisa, is through...
to just go zip over to my website, writeoncreative.com. And of course, it's with a W, writeoncreative.com, as if you're writing. And check it out. See if there's something that speaks to you. There's tons of great content on my blog. I have a section on my blog called the Ask Lisa section, where if you have a question about marketing, advertising, copywriting, publicity, ask me. I'll answer you personally, and I'll probably create a blog post. It might not necessarily mention you, but what I find is the answers to questions help everyone, and that's one of the ways that I create content for my blog. So ask me some questions.
Sweet. And is this still the best way to get a hold of you, Sarah? Or is there a better way?
No, let's go with Facebook. I'm on other platforms as well. Right? You'll find me having lots of fun in and out of the scenes of Facebook, on Instagram, and yeah, just get a hold of me. Fun. Let's go play together.
I have to say that I love Sarah's Instagram. Like we're on Facebook, but I take great joy in going to see what is now showing up on Instagram, because there's music and all of the movement in that you don't see in Facebook. But so I love Instagram for the creativity and seeing what the craziness and playfulness Sarah is up to next. And for me, you can get a hold of me there.
It's a pleasure to share there. Yeah, Neil, contact.
And you can get a hold of me, Neil Thrussell, on Facebook or on my website. Oh, somebody's left us a comment. Oh.
It's our friend James. Thanks for joining us, James. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Yeah. It's wonderful to have viewers that interact with us. That's beautiful. When we were on a different time zone, we had a couple, I won't say groupies, but we had a couple loyal fans that were from Scotland, but because we've changed to the evening time, Scotland doesn't want to get up at 2 in the morning to come be part of our show. I was a little disappointed, and I told her that if she really loved us, and she said, "There's your answer, Neil." It was all beautiful. So with that, I would like to leave with, so I'll go first, and I'll just leave with some positive thoughts. Then I'll ask Lisa to go, and then I will ask Sarah to wind us up and end for the night. So just remember and take into your heart, you are worthy of all your dreams. You are worthy of all your hopes and desires, and you are worthy of the life that you dream of and you aspire to. And I only ask that you take massive actions and steps to living that life. The life you dream of is in your control. So go out and create it. Lisa.
That is so beautiful. And I'll just segue off of that and remind everyone that we're not promised tomorrow. So live in the moment and cherish every moment. And be sure to acknowledge the people in your life that are there for you, and do what you can to build those positive relationships, because we're in a weird time in our world right now, and we need more positivity than ever. And we're counting on each of you to step up and do your part and to enjoy life. And most of all, get out in nature and play.
I love that, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. And I'm just going to jump in and say, hey, there is no right way to play. There's no way to do you. There's only your way. We're all completely unique. And as much as we can flavor our pots ourselves with other people's spices, doesn't sit with you. Go out there and find another way. There are so many things that we know, so many things we don't know, and mind-blowing the amount of don't know that we don't know. So get out there and use your creativity to figure out the things that you don't know, and really, paint your masterpiece your way. Because when you design the life you desire and have beautiful, uplifting conversations, the world is your oyster. So absolutely, I'm just going to say, James has said, today is the gift. That's why we call it the present. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing we have, this present. So go and enjoy it.
Wonderful. And with that, and why is it not playing? Oh, well, with that, we'll end our broadcast.